We have got some pretty stunning news here. A new study has found that upwards 53% of Italians want to leave the EU or the Eurozone altogether, which marks one of the first times that more Italians wanted to leave the EU than wanted to stay. That's right, we've been tracking with this for weeks now, this possibility of the EU collapsing as a result of the virus. And this week is showing some of the biggest signs of this crack up we've yet seen. You're going to absolutely love it. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Wonderful to be with you as always. We're going to dive right in. But first, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video. And that's the makers of this amazing little device. It's called the Patriot Charger, and it's no exaggeration to say that this may indeed be a lifesaver. It features a powerful window breaker and seatbelt cutter to free yourself from your car in an emergency situation like being trapped in water. If you're stranded, you can use Patriot Charger's powerful emergency red flashing light to signal for help or warn other drivers from striking your vehicle. If you find your car breaks down in the middle of the night, you'll have a 4-hour ultra bright LED flashlight to help you out, and it's always within reach because it plugs right into your car's cigarette lighter outlet and doubles as a car phone charger and portable power bank. It's just amazing. And I have to say, I love having this with me in my car, and you need to get yours too. And best of all, if you use the promo code TURLEY15, you'll get a 15% discount. So what could be better? So don't wait another minute. Click on the link below and get your own 6-in-1 Patriot Charger today. All right, let's dive right in here. Now, I know the title of this video had a bit of a dramatic flair to it with the headline, Shock Poll. Now, I know that because I know there's going to be plenty of you out there who are going to write out, yo, Dr. Steve, there ain't nothing shocking about people wanting to leave the EU. I know, I get it, but this latest poll coming out of Italy has indeed begun to shock the globalist bureaucrats that currently govern Italy as well as those in Brussels, the heart of the European Union. The Italian Polling and Research Institute, Termometro Politico, recently conducted a study to measure the opinion among Italians of the European Union. And they found that over 40% of those sampled wanted to leave both the EU and the Eurozone, demonstrating a massive surge in discontent among the Italian population over the EU's inept indifference towards their nation during their whole struggle with this coronavirus. Now, if you don't know the difference, it's really simple. The EU, the European Union, is comprised of the 28 member nations in Europe, whereas the Eurozone is comprised of those nations that share in using the euro as their currency. So what we found in the study is that 40% of Italians want to leave both. So an astonishing 40% of Italians want to leave both the European Union and the Eurozone. They want to chuck the euro and bring back a national currency, which I'm assuming would be the lira. Now, when we break down the findings of the study, the results actually become even more amazing. First, an additional 6.1% of Italians want to leave the EU, but not the euro. So they're wanting to hold on to the currency, but that in turn means that a full 46% of Italians want to leave the EU in some way, shape, or form. So that's the first thing, but it gets even better. Another 7.3% want to chuck the Eurozone. They want to chuck the currency of the EU. So what this means is that over 53% of Italians want to leave the EU and or want a restoration of national sovereignty in terms of a national currency. And this compares with just 41% who said they want to remain with the EU. So we're now seeing polls shift decisively in favor of anti-EU sentiments among Italians. Now, we've been tracking with these anti-EU sentiments for weeks now. According to the latest poll prior to this study, just taking a couple of weeks back, over 30% of Italians, I think it was 36% to be exact, more than 1 in 3, said they wanted to leave the EU immediately. They wanted a referendum, an Italexit referendum, and they want it out, right? They've absolutely had it. And so the Italian Prime Minister, Giuseppe Conte, is warning that there is a very real risk that the EU is indeed headed for complete and total collapse. The Express is reporting that Conte has launched a scathing attack on Brussels and their inexcusable ineptitude during this whole entire coronavirus outbreak. Speaking to BBC News, Italy's leftist prime minister claimed that the coronavirus pandemic has been the single biggest challenge faced by Europe since World War II, and it's clearly been a challenge that the inept bullies in Brussels were not prepared for. At issue right now is the failure of European leaders to come together as a unified whole to confront the virus. Italians are furious that they've had to turn to Russia and China to get much-needed medical supplies because of the ineptitude of bullies in Brussels. Germany, in particular, the leadership there, was faulted for this in terms of their reluctance to share their more than 25,000 ventilators with Italy. And think about how absurd this is. How many times were Europeans told, particularly by Merkel, about their supposed solidarity during the 2015 migrant crisis? How many times had they been lectured to by the bureaucrats in Brussels that every member nation has to help out and take in their fair share of refugees, that we're all in this together when it comes to open borders? But then this pandemic crisis hits Italy, and they're basically told, you're on your own. Figure it out yourself, right? On March 12th, as Italy was being ravaged by this virus, going into full shutdown, if you could believe it, the European Court of Justice sentenced Italy to pay 7.5 million euros in fines because of some faulty aid that they had received, and the court fined them an additional 80,000 euros a day for every day the fine wasn't paid. I mean, how do you make this stuff up? And so it's no wonder that we've been seeing a surge in anti-EU sentiments among the Italian population, which has now officially surpassed the 50% threshold. And in addition, it's no wonder that we are seeing an increasing number of articles coming out that are all saying the same thing. The European Union is hanging together by a thread. It has quite literally never been so vulnerable to collapse than it is right now as we speak. We've got this report from the British Express with the headline, EU Collapse, How Coronavirus Pandemic Threatens to Kill the EU. And it goes on to note that the European Union really is in mortal danger of splitting, according to a figure integral to the bloc's creation, while experts warn this division created by the crisis threatens to kill the EU. Now, this figure cited by the articles, the 94-year-old former president of the European Commission, Jacques Delors. Now, we reported on this last week. He sees the Union today as more fragile now than it's ever been because of this virus. Now, Delors played a pivotal role in the formation of the EU, but he says that the coronavirus is putting the whole European project in mortal danger. Those are his words. The bloc is currently in mortal danger, and a number of pundits and analysts are recognizing that if European nations continue to look inward for solutions to this virus pandemic, and the centralized European government in Brussels continues to look incompetent and inept throughout this entire process, that very well may be the straw that broke the camel's back. That could be it. With a successful Brexit in the background, you have more and more nations considering a comparable break with Brussels. If the nations of Europe turn towards the nationalist populist sentiment of Italy first, Belgium first, Germany first, the EU will effectively sink. This current pandemic outbreak will have an even more punishing effect on Brussels than the 2008 financial crisis, the 2015 immigration crisis, or Brexit. The bottom line is that countries throughout Europe, as they begin enforcing their borders and they start looking inward to their own national governments for solutions, the basic structure of the globalist EU project may indeed be collapsing before our very eyes. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on the massive protests that are erupting all over the world against the coronavirus lockdown. And I get into the real reason for those protests. I think you'll find it quite fascinating. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.